Hi everyone and welcome back. In this video we're gonna go ahead and fix some rust on my K1500 here. I tried to inspect it last week and unfortunately we didn't pass because of rust that I was pretty aware of that we would probably not be passing on. So the game plan is that we're gonna remove the bed. We are changing the bed, not because of rust, but because of other issues we're gonna talk about. While we have the bed off, we're gonna go ahead, fix the cab corners and rockers because they are really bad. And also while we get the bed off, we're gonna pressure wash the whole underside of the truck, make it as clean as possible. And we're gonna fix a bunch of rust here in the frame that we have. So the frame, I'm only gonna do patchwork. It's gonna be most simple as it can be because this frame is really bad. There's no reason to do it properly. So the end goal here is to fix all of the rust in the frame and try to do some rust prevention so that I never have to fix at least the frame again. The body, we're only going to do what is necessary to pass inspection, and then sometime in the future we can go ahead and do the last and paint it. But for now I just want to make it pass inspection. So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much here. We're going to start loosening some bolts so we can remove the bed. I drove the truck into the garage because it's so cold outside. I was hoping to be working outside all week. Last week was really nice and warm, but this week doesn't look that promising. So yeah, we'll see how much we are inside and outside. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and lay here on the floor and start loosening some bed bolts. I know it only sits on 4 out of 8 because it was me that put them on. So yeah, I'm gonna see if we can remove the bolts so that we can lift off the bed. Got the bolts out, wasn't any big problem. They came out really easy. Probably because I put them in like 3 years ago or something. But gonna push down all the cables here. I removed the tail lights. So the only thing left to do is to remove this, and it's only on with a zip tie. And if you're wondering why am I changing this bed, it doesn't look all that bad, and I know it doesn't, but it has some very strange issues. I think that first of all, yeah, I was going to show that. You can see that these lines don't match. And I know that it's very common for the cabs to sag in the mounts, but I've already repaired the body mounts. So I don't think that's too much of the problem. What I think is that they tried to remove this bed without removing those bolts, hoping that they would break or something, because there is it has a crack in the rear of the bed. I have so much crap here, but you can see there's a crack there. So I think that they have the bed floor has stayed in place while they have lifted the bed sides, I believe, but we'll see when we put on the other bed. Besides that, you can see that on this side it has some good, what do you call it, gaps, but on this side it is overlapping quite a lot. So I don't know, they have definitely, first of all, I think they have pulled the bed. After that, I think they have dropped the bed because of that, and also because you can see here there's a really big crease here. So this bed has been through a lot, and it's just easier to change it. This I did, but besides that, it's pretty messed up. So it has some rust, but I mean, that's not the biggest issue. So we're gonna change it. My dad has another bed that I'm gonna steal from him, and hopefully it will match a little better with the body lines, and yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna cut that zip tie and then we're gonna pull it out and lift the bed off. got the bed off, and actually this frame is pretty decent from the cab rearwards. I had to fix this spring hanger. I fixed that one earlier, and this I have already replaced a few years ago, so that's good. But other than that, it's pretty decent. But it's from the cab forward that we get the problems, and the biggest problem we have is this rust, because it's pretty hard to reach with exhaust and other brackets in place. But we'll see what we can do. But I'm gonna go ahead, lift this up a bit, and pressure wash it as good as we can. So maybe not the cleanest thing in the world, but it's a lot cleaner anyway. And unfortunately, I found some more rust here. This is the same rust we have on that side. I only had this before, I mean, this isn't any problem. The thing with this is we have to fix it from the inside. And on that side, I was already thinking that we should remove the exhaust. And on this side, we have to remove the tank, which isn't that big of a problem. But the thing is, I refueled on my way home, so it's completely full. So we have to think out some way to drain this as much as possible so that we can remove it. So I'm gonna think about how we're gonna do that, and then I think we're gonna drive it into the garage. So I rigged this up so I can empty the tank. So I'm gonna empty it as much as possible, but so that we can drive it into the garage. Then in the garage we can remove the tank, remove the exhaust, so that we can fix the rust here from the inside. So that's the plan. I'm gonna empty this. So I got it in the garage and up on some jack stands as high as I could. I have some jack stands that are this high that you put under the wheels, but I can't lift it that much in here. I would like to done it outside, but since it's going to be bad weather this week, I think I'm gonna work inside instead. So yeah, I have started to remove the tank, and thankfully these came apart really easily. I mean, when I bought this truck, it didn't have a bed, it didn't have a tank, and lots of other stuff. But I bought this tank and sender used. I don't know much about it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, and also this connector was wrong, so I made this setup. And when I got this thing running, one of these came loose, and I got stuck here at the bottom of my property. And I was so mad because it's very tight to get this in when you're under the truck. So I have been terrified that these will come apart somewhere on the road. So since it's a bit rusty, I don't know how old it is, it's the wrong connector. So I'm gonna go ahead and change the fuel sending unit, even though it works, in hopes that I don't have problems with the pump in the future. So yeah, I'm gonna remove this. But anyway, now I'm gonna remove the whole tank. I'm gonna remove my tank strap here, and then we can look at the exhaust. Got the tank out of there and out of the garage. So what I'm gonna do now is gonna take the chisel, air chisel, and this, what I call it, needle hammer, and go over the frame, see where we get more holes and where it is bad. Unfortunately, my exhaust is fully welded from the tailpipes up until the V-bands I have at the headers, so I can't remove this because of the transmission crossmember and torsion crossmember and stuff like that. I could cut it out of here, but I would prefer not to. So we'll see if we can, if I remove this bracket for the exhaust, maybe we can reach this area and repair this, but we'll see. But anyway, first off, I'm gonna go over the frame here where it's bad and see how bad it is and how big patches we have to do. So I've been hacking away here on the frame, and I mean, when a frame is rusty, it's either it's very light surface rust, or you get these like large pieces that you can, is almost like rock or something that you can remove in large pieces. But on this, it's something in between. It's really rough surface rust that it sits really hard on the frame. Here you can see I tried to do like this, and I mean it comes off, but it's really stuck to the frame. So I'm not gonna bother too much with making the aesthetic. I mean, this is what I would call normal surface rust, and yeah, whatever. So what we're gonna do is, or what I want to show you is, here we knew it was bad, so I mean only a little more and this would have fallen down, but it wouldn't have fallen so long since the torsion bar would have hung on the transmission cross member. But I mean, it's not good, but wouldn't be that bad. But we're gonna do some angle iron here in some way. Here I think I'm gonna do a patch here on the outside, something like this. There's always also a little hole under here. Also it was rusty here. So yeah, it's bad about everywhere. But also I'm gonna do some angle iron or something here on the inside. And also this rear spring hanger is a bit bad. We have rust holes there, and here. On this side that we repaired in an earlier video, we have a rust hole here and here. And also we have a rust hole here and here. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do a patch that fits in here. I'm gonna weld it to the bed mount here and to the spring hanger. Also this spring is bad. I think I'm gonna change out this whole corner and weld that in. I think that will be easier. A little patch here. Also maybe do something on the inside. I'm not really sure yet. And also we have some rust here in the front, and I already done some ugly patches here. We have a hole here, here, and under here. So I think I'm gonna do a whole piece going the whole length here, just a little small piece there and one piece small piece there. So we have a lot of small patches we have to do, but it's nothing too bad. It won't take all that much time. We're running out of time here for today, but I think I will be done with all of these patches by the end of tomorrow. I really do. But I'm gonna go and pick up the kids here in about 40 minutes, so I don't want to cut and weld. So I'm gonna go ahead and start looking around my materials and start making some paper templates so that tomorrow we can just go ahead, cut out some pieces and start welding them in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I will see you back tomorrow. I'm back, it's Tuesday morning, and my goal for today is I wanna get the frame repaired and done so that we can start with the rockers and cab corners tomorrow. But as I said, I did some preparation yesterday and also some this morning. So I've cut out this piece that we had here, and I have my new piece here drilled and ready, so we can weld this in. So that's gonna be done really quick. And also I've prepared for the rest of the repairs we have to do. This I'm gonna do patch one for each side and weld in here, and also I'm gonna do a patch like this. It's not bad, I mean it's very thin over here, but it isn't whole on this side. But I thought I'm gonna make one, I might as well make one for this side also. Gonna repair this area on the other side. It's actually good on this side. And I also prepared some of the holes here in the spring hanger. I'm not gonna do anything special. I'm just gonna weld up. I'm gonna put a plate here from the back side and weld against it, and the same thing with these holes. So yeah, it is what it is. It's gonna be good enough. And also I have to do basically the same things on that side of the frame. So I'm gonna go ahead, weld in that piece, and then we can continue with the rest of the stuff. So here we have that in place for the welded, and I'm not gonna show all too much in depth on this project in this video because I'm not really in the mood to do it. If I'm not in the mood, it isn't fun to film either. I was hoping to do some other project right now. I wasn't thinking I was going to have to do this kind of work. So yeah, it wasn't really in my planning, and it's nothing I'm excited to do. So I'm just gonna power through. I'm gonna show you a bit here during the rust repair here, but I'm gonna power through a lot here. So yeah, we're gonna move on to the next rust hole. So it's been a few hours, and I actually haven't accomplished a lot because my father came and visited, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But I got these tucked in place. it wasn't so rusty here, but we're gonna put a piece on the other side, so I could just cut one extra. So these are tacked in place, gonna weld in them, and we also have a piece in here that I've welded, so you don't see the rust there anymore. So I'm just gonna fully weld that. And I have some pieces there for the other sides, we can fix that, and those are our major areas of rust. Then of course I have some in the front and somewhere in here in the rear. But anyway, since my father came here, he brought with him the new bed for the truck, and I understand that this bed doesn't look a lot better than that one, but the thing is, it has some rust. It has rust in different areas than that bed, but this bed hasn't been tipped over or fallen on the ground or something like that one has. So this is a lot better in that way. It's more straight. It has some aftermarket fender flares that we're gonna remove. It has some rust here in the bottom, which that bed don't have. So I'm gonna cut off probably these corners all the way around from that bed, and maybe put on this later, but for now I'm just gonna put it on. The floor and the bed supports are better on this, and as I said, it's straight and not messed up like that one is. So anyway, we have a bed, but unfortunately there's about an hour left on the workday here before I have to go and pick up my kids, which means that I can't continue welding because I need to check for fires and stuff like that. So I have to think if there's something else we can do here an hour before I go and pick up the kids. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna spend my time doing here, but I've cleaned a little bit my tent. It's a complete mess. I'm going to move my tent here this summer, so I'm not want to organize it too much right now. But tomorrow there's gonna be really shitty weather, so I want to have my 67 Chevelle on the roof, as much roof as I have on my tent. So I'm gonna go ahead and back up the 64 Chevelle here a little bit now that I clean off, and I'm gonna see if this thing starts. I haven't touched it since I drove it in here last. But this thing just sounds so good, and which doesn't really make sense for me because I don't like the straight through style mufflers. I like chamber mufflers like Flowmaster and stuff like that. I often like when it's an H pipe or especially an X pipe, and this is just straight pipes out the side, no crossover or anything. So yeah, but anyway, these mufflers are definitely going to stay on this car. We just have to make an exhaust that exits out the back, but probably it will be separate pipes all the way without any crossover to keep this sound, because I don't know why, but I really like it. But anyway, I don't think that I'm gonna be able to do anything more today here. This is what I want to be working on right now, not the freaking truck and do rust repairs. I want to start putting on body panels on this thing, but we'll get there soon enough. But I'm gonna go ahead and just do some more cleaning here, and I will be back with you tomorrow when we're definitely going to be fixing the frame, and hopefully we'll also have the rockers and the cab corners in place, but we'll see. But we're gonna keep on working tomorrow. I'm back, it's Wednesday, and I've actually worked here for a few hours without showing you because I really felt that I wasn't getting anywhere, and I really wanted to just power through this with the repair on the frame. And I really, I didn't have any inspiration for this. If I don't have any inspiration, I'm not doing good videos. So I just wanted to make it done, and then we can go ahead and do a little more in depth on the cab corners and the rockers. So I fixed all of this. Welded those that I tacked in yesterday. I put in some stuff here, and I actually see now that I missed a hole here, so I have to fix that. Damn it. So yeah, fixed that. Looks like crap. Welded in 2 holes there. I changed this whole piece and I welded in those pieces. and made some pieces here, here, and here. So now the frame is done, besides the stupid hole I realize now that I missed. So now my plan is I'm gonna go ahead and start fixing the rockers and the cab corners, and I'm gonna do a little more in depth on that instead. So I covered the cab here a little bit so that we can start cutting and grinding. And in the best case scenario, the rust would have only gotten up to here, so we didn't have to do a bend here in our sheet metal that we're going to have to do. But there's rust about a half an inch up here, so we have to at least cut here all the way. And it has a part here where it's not gonna say decent, but it's not whole anyway. But I think we're gonna cut away the whole thing, because then it will be easier to repair the inside here. And also there was a dent here in the rocker. You can see it's a little bit swollen here, so I had to look over that. I think I'm gonna see if we can loosen the fender enough so that we can pull it out a little bit, so that it will be a little bit easier to work here. And in the back here with the cab corner is obviously put on top side of the, or on the outside of the rocker. This piece is still the rocker, which is supposed to be behind the cab corner. And my idea is I want to change as little as possible on this. It goes all the way up to here, but the what do you call it, the bends, the press tools they have aren't as nice as the one GM had, obviously. So I don't really like this aftermarket stuff, because this bend, as an example, is a lot less what do you call it, sharp than this one. This is a lot sharper. Also, this doesn't go in as much here in the door as the original do, so we will have a little piece where it goes over to a smaller. And also one thing is that if you look at this, it's a nice sharp edge all the way up the whole way. And if you look at this, it's pretty sharp here in the start, and it goes and it gets less sharp all the way until it's only a bend. It's not sharp at all. So that's why I want to change as little as possible. And if we don't start cutting here, we don't have to mess with all these spot welds. So my idea is I'm gonna make the cut here, because I need to get rid of this, partly because there's a dent here, and also I can feel that the rust is going up quite far. So when I cut here, we get behind the molding here, so that will you won't see that. And then I'm gonna cut this as an angle down to here to try and save as much as this nice sharp angle. So yeah, I'm gonna start cutting here. So we got the outer skin off, and now I have to think how much of the inner rocker I want to change. Here this would be usable, this area, but from this part forward it's pretty bad, and here we have to change like an inch, and here maybe like half of an inch if you want to get all of this off. So I'm gonna think about how I want to go ahead and do this. And here in the back I cut off this structure thing, and I am not gonna rebuild all of the structure because I really don't see the point. And this corner, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it like this to leave a larger open area for air to pass through, so that hopefully a lot of dirt and moist isn't going to get caught in here. We have these holes that were covered. I have removed the plugs here, but I think it's easier to fill it with junk, but obviously they have been filled with junk because it's rusted out. So I think the way to go is get more air in it, and you can get the pressure washer in here and clean the rockers from the inside so that they hopefully don't rust again. So that's my idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and think a little bit here on how we're gonna tackle this inner rocker. So I decided to do like this. I kept this because it isn't that bad, and also it gives me a reference point on the height of the lip here. So I went ahead and just made this piece in the vise with a little bend over there to match this. So now I'm gonna start welding in this thing like that, and then we can cut along the top here to make it edge to edge, and we can just cut it here in the rear to match that, and then we can just file out the holes again. So yeah, I'm gonna start tacking this in place. So I got this in a rocker tacked in place, and here I started to cut and weld so it comes edge to edge. So I'm just gonna go ahead here, cut weld all the way down so it becomes nice and flush. And yeah, then we can fully weld it so we can start working on the outer rocker. Here we have the inner rocker in place and all done. I have only grinded it here because this is the only area where the outer skin sits. This is not going to matter. And I also filed up the holes here. I made this a little wider so we can cut this length later, but that's all done. So now we can go ahead and do the outer rocker skin. And I don't have a metal brake, so mostly because I don't feel I have the space, or I don't want to waste space in my tiny garage. So I'm gonna try and see if we can bend it like with this. I bent this just in my vise, but you get the edge doesn't get that all that nice, and since this edge you're going to see, and we will do some body work later to this, I want this to be as nice, sharp, and straight as possible. So we're gonna see if this will work. So here we have it. I'm not 100% satisfied. Would be a lot easier with the brake, but the edge here is pretty straight. This is a bit wavy, but this one we can fix while we're welding and doing that, or we're installing it. So yeah, I'm gonna try and start tacking this in place, see how it goes, and yeah, we'll be back during the process. Here we have the rocker tacked in place. Just some small tacks there and some small there, and some sheet metal screws here on the bottom. And if we close the door now, if we close it, you can see that it lines good like this. The GM2400 has a little weird rocker since they don't really make a part of the body line. They are just below the cab. So, but this bend is nice along here all the way. We have an even gap. The gap on these are really big, so it's supposed to be like this. So yeah, now I can take this off. I'm gonna punch some holes here so that we can spot weld this, put some weld through primer, and then we can start putting this in place. So this week isn't really working out as good as I wanted to. I was welding the rocker here, and all of a sudden I had to jump in the car and pick up my kids because my wife had trouble at work. So I just had to leave this, and we have a bunch of holidays here in the middle of the week, and yeah, it's a short week, so I don't have time to do anything more. But what I did was I fully welded the rocker here, and I was going to punch some holes and weld it here, but I remembered that a old work colleague gave me this spot welder. So I have spot welded all of these. These are just the drill holes from the self-drilling screws, what do you call them? I can't remember the name right now, but anyway. So I think it looks really nice with some proper spot welds. So I mean, if we do this proper sometime in the future and paint this, it will look like it's never been touched. So I'm happy with that. I gotta admit, it needs some work here in the front. It's bad behind here, but I was going to get the fender out a bit, but I tried to lose this, and it was just spinning around and around. The what do you call it? The nut thing here on the backside isn't working. So yeah, that will have to be fixed when we're changing the fender. But the rocker is in place 100%. The next thing we're gonna do is add a cab corner, but that will be next week. I actually had the last clip you saw was Wednesday, now it's Friday, and I unfortunately won't be able to do anything more this week. So I had a new appointment to get this inspection today, but that's obviously not going to happen. So I have a new appointment on Wednesday next week, and god damn, I'm going to have this thing done by Wednesday because I really want to get going on something else. But that's what it is sometimes. Life's getting in the way. So anyway, that will be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it anyway, even though we didn't really get this thing back yet. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.